Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry. So last time another Twilight happened, right? I guess both of them. We found Kinzo and then Kanon was also a victim of that, right? So it's happening very fast now, right? So in this episode today, who knows, right? Maybe we're gonna have another victim, right? So by the way, I've just noticed that we've played for 21 hours almost already. Jesus Christ, this is the first chapter. It's very long. So yeah, let's just start it. Nanja right here.
あのような重傷を設備のないところではどうしようも。
いえ、無理もないことです。最善を尽くしてくださりありがとうございました。
Dr. Nanjo's shirt had been sprayed by a violent spurt of blood, so it was easy to imagine the devotion with which he had tried to save Kanon's life up until the last second. Jessica was crouched in the corridor, crying softly. Jessica, her and Kanon was not a couple, but she kinda liked Kanon though. She had probably been taking care of Kanon-kun until the moment of his death. Okay, so confirmed now that he actually died. George Aniki tried to approach her with words of comfort, but when Jessica pushed him away, he stopped crying to force her to talk and left her alone.
私がカノンさんを一人で行かせなければ。
The thing is, if you didn't leave Kanon, you'd be dead as well right now.
気に病むことはない。仮に一緒だったら熊沢も襲われていたかもしれん。それに愚かにも先走ったゆえの自業自得だ。
そんな言い方ってねえぜ。
Yeah, that's a pretty bad thing to say though. He foolishly went there, right?
カノン君は犯人の姿を見つけて勇敢に立ち向かったんだ。熊沢さんも一緒だったら犯人は躊躇して逃げることを選んだかもしれない。
Emotion-filled words that I never thought I'd hear coming from Jessica's mouth tumbled out. Kumasawa, looking truly sorry, could do nothing but hang her head.
ジェシカ。
Jessica.
今は言葉をかけるべきじゃない。僕だって。そしてバトラ君もだろう。もう何が何だかわからなくて心が張り裂けそうだよ。
There were tears in George Aniki's eyes again. Seeing Jessica break down, crying probably brought back the pain of losing his parents. I'd done my crying all at once, so I didn't feel like crying anymore. However, I understood how great the pain in their heart was.
大丈夫だよ、ジェシカお姉ちゃん。カノンにだってまたすぐ会えるよ。
よしてくれよ。
Yeah, stop it.
そういう慰めはいらねえぜ。
ベアトリーチェは死者も失った愛すらも蘇らせる。だからきっとすぐに会えるよ。そしてきっとみんなで穏やかに過ごせるから。
カノン君を殺したのがマリアに昨日手紙を渡したっていうベアトリーチェなのか。そいつはどこにいるんだよ。どこに隠れてるんだよ。私が見つけて引き裂いてやる。言えよ。知ってるんだろ、犯人の正体を。お前は何を知っていて何を隠してるんだ。話しやがれ。
お嬢様、おやめください。
ベアトリーチェはいる。
ちくしょう、ケンジさん話せよ。マリアが犯人を知ってる。しかもそいつは知ってて隠してるんだ。 そして私たちの内情を伝えて殺しの手引きをしてるに違いないんだぜ。ジェシカ、静かにしなさい。
Jessica grabbed at Maria. Genji tried to stop her, but Jessica could not be calmed. The next thing I heard was the sound of Aunt Natsuki slapping Jessica's face. After that, only Jessica's sorrowful sobbing voice resounded throughout the hall.
マリアちゃん、僕は君が断じて犯人ではないことを知っている。
I mean, obviously.
君はいつも僕たちと一緒にいたし、犯人なんかと通じている時間はなかった。
But yeah, for Maria, maybe and maybe not obviously. I said obviously, right? Not obviously, but maybe she could have done it. But yeah, the 6 persons in the beginning, right? Or yeah, the 6 sacrifices. Could Maria even do that to them? Like for Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi, maybe she could have done it, for example, right? The chain door, she could have gotten in because she was tiny. But yeah, she could have gotten them by surprise, right? For example, talking to Ava and then suddenly she just stabs like that, right? But the 6 sacrifice in the beginning, that is impossible. And like for example, like Kinzo as well, right? Bringing Kinzo's body there in the boiler, bringing to the storehouse. So it's not possible. It's not possible it can be Maria. It can be Maria, but there is an accomplice. So yeah, so I highly doubt it though. It could be, or maybe she's just crazy, right?
だから聞かせてほしい。君に昨日手紙を渡したベアトリーチェとは誰なんだい？
Although those words seem kind, they clearly show that George still had some remaining doubts about Maria. He didn't actually grab at her. However, he felt exactly the same way Jessica did.
兄貴、同じことは俺もさっき聞いたぜ。返事は同じさ。
マリアちゃんの口から聞きたい。ベアトリーチェとは誰なんだい？
言ってもどうせ信じない。
Okay, then tell us then.
それはどういう意味だい？ひょっとして僕らのよく知る人物が犯人で、君は何かの事情からそれをかばうために黙っているというのかい？君はあの手紙を誰にもらったんだい？
ベアトリーチェにもらったんだよ。何度だって言う。手紙はベアトリーチェにもらった。ジョージお兄ちゃんがベアトリーチェを信じないのは殴れる相手じゃないから？ジョージお兄ちゃんはやるせない気持ちを暴力に変えて誰かにぶつけたいと思っている。だから殴れる相手が人間じゃなきゃ収まりがつかない。だからそんなジョージお兄ちゃんには真実を話しても受け入れられない。だから言っても無駄。信じない。でもマリアは何度も言うよ。真実だから言うよ。ベアトリーチェはね、いるの。黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるよ。マリアはそこに行くの。ベアトリーチェが約束してくれたの。その世界ではママも優しくてパパも一緒で優しいの。マリアは早くそこへ行きたいの。みんなはベアトリーチェのことを恐れている。そしてそれは無理もないことだけど。なら安心して。 ベアトリーチェは言ってたよ。台風が去るまでに全てを終わらせるからって。
She got smacked again.
饒舌なマリアも嫌いじゃねえがとりあえずはそのくらいにしとけ。
Dude, I find it hilarious, I'm not gonna lie, when she's talking like that and Butler smacks her. I mean, it's just funny to me. Yeah, she's getting very scary.
魔女はいるいる言ってたお前にとってさぞや現状は愉快だろうが、他人にまで押し付けるんじゃねえ。
And now she's back again. Look, whenever someone smacks her, she goes back to the other Mario.
こいつ前から気持ち悪いやつだとは思ってたけど、おかしいぜ。どっかおかしいぜ。
There's really something wrong with her.
バトラは思わねえのかよ。ケンジさんは
I mean, Butler would agree. Genji-san would not say anything.
熊沢さんは母さんはどうだよ。マリアは犯人の正体を知ってて隠してる。確かに直接手を下してるわけじゃないかもしれない。でも間違いなく犯人の一味だぜ。そうさ、スパイさ。私たちと一緒になんかいさせられないぜ。マリアちゃん、不謹慎な話を慎むべき時もあることを知りなさい。これ以上混乱に油を注ぐような真似が過ぎれば。
Aunt Natsui glared at Mario with frightening eyes. Mario was used on Rose's loud style of scolding, but she apparently hadn't built up resistance to Aunt Natsui's quiet sort of scolding. She shrugged and kept her mouth shut. A desolate feeling filled the room. It felt as though things would just get more complicated if anyone spoke. How many people have already died? 6 people in Dad's group. After that, both Aunt Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi, Kanon, Oji-san. There were a whole 18 people in this island, supposedly. And 10 of those people have been killed. That's more than half of us now. And right now, there's absolutely no proof that the remaining 8 people will be safe. I don't think so, though. Yeah. Based on what's happening, like it's literally following what is said on the epitaph, right? So I think, yeah, they said there that 3 more people would die, and then after that, Beatrice would be revived, right? And then after that, everyone is gonna die. So probably no one will survive. Or maybe one person will survive, maybe Maria, right? So yeah, we can see the time here, right? Can we see the time here? No, not really. Oh, it's here. 20, so it's 20 is 8, right?
夏日おばさんに極めて同感だぜ。犯人探しは今夜ゆっくりできるさ。
8 p.m. So was it last episode or yeah, Natsui said that maybe 9 a.m. a boat might arrive, right? So we got 13 hours until 9 a.m. So can they survive the 13 hours?
今はどこで籠城するかを考えた方がいい。
As I said this, I pointed out the clock to everyone. It was 8 at night. We had been receiving shocks over and over again since the early morning, and our bodies and minds were both completely tired out. There's still a long time until tomorrow. Honestly, when you're trying to wait for something, the time is extremely slow for some reason, right? It's always like that. But if you're not waiting for anything, let's say you're watching a movie and stuff, dude, the time goes fast so quickly. We need to find some place to barricade ourselves in so we could rest our bodies and get even the smallest amount of relief.
私も同感ですな。私も含め、もうみんな体も心も限界まで打ちのめされています。今からそれを考えた方が賢明でしょうな。
そういうこった。敵は マスターキーに準ずるものを持っている公算が高い。
シャノンやカノン君、ゴーダさんはマスターキーを持ってましたか？
Shannon, Kanon-kun, and Goda-san.
はい。
Wait, they all had master keys?
勤務時間中だったなら身につけていたはずです。
現場をいじらない方がいいってんでそこまでは調べなかったのが、誰かの鍵が奪われている可能性は否定できねえな。
そもそも犯人はバラ庭園倉庫のシャッターを開けるために一度使用人室を訪れている可能性があります。そこでマスターキーをすでに入手していると考えて間違いないでしょう。
There were many servants serving the Oshiramiya family. Because of that, there were several master keys. Furthermore, every time one employee started or finished working, the keys were passed between servants. We had to acknowledge that this had probably gotten a bit sloppy at times in the past.
仮に殺された使用人の誰かのポケットから鍵束を拝借したとして、その鍵でも開けられない安全な場所はあるのか？
私たちはお仕事の都合上全てのお部屋の鍵を預かっております。お屋敷もゲストハウスも全てです。
つまり私たちはどこへ立てこもって鍵をかけようと意味がないってわけだ。上等だぜ。鍵なんかいるもんか。来るなら来やがれってんだ。返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
敵は正面から来ないよ。最初の6人はともかく母さんたちやカノン君、そしておじい様の霊を見る限り敵は孤立した人間だけを狙ってる。一部屋に固まっている僕たちのところへ堂々と乗り込んで来られるほどの力はないんだよ。
そうだな、兄貴の言う通りだ。ひょっとするとおばさんのライフル銃が抑止効果として成立してるのかもしれないぜ。
なら良いのですが。
マリア、言いたいことがあるんだろうが、そいつは飲み込んでしばらく黙ってろ。
Maria probably wanted to say something about how witches weren't afraid of things like guns. But if she were to say it out loud, the atmosphere around here would start to get pretty edgy. I had noticed and decided to put a stop to it.
よろしいでしょうか。一箇所だけ使用人の鍵束でも入れない場所が。
それはどこです？
はい、親方様の書斎です。
私は反対だぜ。じい様の気持ち悪い部屋になんか入りたくない。
あの部屋に入れる鍵は何本あるんですか
？2本です。
Two only.
1本は常に私が。
The other one?
もう1本は親方様がお持ちでしたが、先ほどボイラー室の遺体からこれを。
So where's the key? Genji took a handkerchief out of his pocket and opened it, showing us the burnt and filthy study key. Okay, so he got both keys now. Then he showed it alongside his own key, which he had once lent to Natsuhi.
本来なら警察のために鍵も残すべきだったのですが、親方様より書斎の留守は必ず守るようにと仰せつけられておりましたもので、私がお預かりさせていただいておりました。
なるほど。ということは金蔵さんの書斎は唯一の安全地帯というわけですな。
そういうことになりますね。あの怪しげな匂いの部屋に一晩も立てこもるなど考えたくもありませんが、あの部屋が一番安全であることを今は認めなければならないようです。
その安全な部屋に閉じこもってたじい様を犯人は連れ出して殺してる。絶対安全とは言い切れねえけどな。
バトラ君の説のおじい様がうまくレシートをやり過ごして自分の意思で部屋を出たと考えるなら、籠城の価値はあるかもしれない。
へえ、楽観的すぎだぜ兄貴。
However, at the same time, I thought he brought up a pretty interesting point. After all, this gives a chance to question the enemy, the witch herself, about how the sealed door had been opened. If we assume the culprit used some technique to kidnap grandfather from his study, they'd have to show us the same trick again if they wanted to assault us in the study. And that'd give us a chance to make the culprit prove how they did it right before our eyes. If she's really a witch, we'll be forcing her to use her little magic trick to open the door right in front of us. I mean, that's the best way, honestly, and then just stay there until the morning. But yeah, that place, Genji said, right? It has a kitchen, it has a bathroom, and it's spacious, right? So that is perfect room, right? For 13 hours, you gotta just stay there. But that's probably impossible. If you spin the chessboard around, it's obvious that the culprit is acting in a way that'll make us think they're a witch. If she really is a witch, all she's gotta do is appear in front of us and wow us with a colorful display of magic. Since she's avoided doing that, everything must be the work of a fake witch who wants us to think she's real. Therefore, a culprit who used a technique other than magic to defeat the closed room couldn't open the door before our eyes.
じいさんの部屋ってのは8人で押しかけても大丈夫なくらいの広さなんすか？
はい、ベッドにソファー、毛布類もありますので、贅沢を言わなければ十分に夜を越すことができます。流しにご不浄、冷蔵庫に酒棚もあります。
ひゅー、そいつはすげえぜ。しかしおかしなもんだな。自分の家の中にさらに自分の家を作ったってのか？島を丸ごと買って自分の夢を全て実現しきったじい様の最後の家にしちゃ随分手狭なんだな。
そうですね。いつの頃からかお父様にとっては屋敷内ですら心を許せる場所ではなくなってしまったのでしょう。
そこに引きこもっていたのを私たちは嘲笑い、そして今度は私たちがそこに立てこもろうってわけだ。
Jessica spat the words out.
ジェシカちゃんは立てこもるより犯人を探しに行きたいという感じだね。
もちろんこっちから探しに行って見つけられるなんて思っちゃいないぜ。結局は待つしかない。ならどこで待ったって同じだろ。逃げも隠れもしない。客までテレビでも見ながらのんびり現れるのを待とうじゃねえかよ、ベアトリーチェ様をよ。
現れなければ現れないで十分です。犯人を暴くのは私たちである必要がないからです。
正論ですな。警察が来るまで危険を冒すべきではありません。
ありがとう南條先生。私はお父様の書斎に移るべきだと思います。確かにお父様が連れ出された可能性があり、絶対の安全が保証されているわけではない。しかしバトラ君の推理のお父様が何らかの方法で自ら書斎を出て外で襲われた可能性も否定できません。
A while back, I proposed a strategy, the strange theory as a stopgap measure. But just as Aunt Ava said, even though the trick would be possible, I couldn't explain what a motive could have made grandfather sneak out of his own study in such a troublesome way. Plus, a grandfather couldn't even have used that trick unless he knew that the receipt was wedged in the door. Aunt Ava hadn't pointed out that last part, but it's clear how absurd the theory was. So does it mean that a sealed door formed a closed room just as Aunt Ava claimed? It is undeniable fact that Aunt Nazi was a culprit. If Aunt Ava were here now, she'd probably make that claim openly and blow my strange theory away. But anyway, I had to admit that a room with both a bed and a toilet that all 8 people could be shut up in, and with only 2 keys, both of which were gathered here, had to be the safest place in the mansion right now. At the very least, I figured this would be better than just staying shut up in the parlor and hoping nothing would go wrong. But wait, have we been safe only because we've been shut up in the parlor? What if leaving that room and moving to an unexplored location is actually more dangerous? But yeah, everything that happened was outside the parlor, right? And then everyone was just coming from there and then rushing to the area where the incident happened. So yeah, you could argue that the parlor has been safe this whole time. It's useless. It's useless. It's all useless. My flimsy head is about to break out in a fever. If I keep spinning the chessboard around right and wrong, we'll keep switching players over and over and I won't be able to believe anything. When it seems like the culprit is one of the 18, I want to believe in Beatrice. And once I start believing in Beatrice, I start wanting to find the culprit amid the 18. If that keeps spinning around forever, in the end, my thoughts won't have taken one step from where they started. How far back in the past was it that Kirei-san taught me about the chessboard thinking? That concept of examining the situation by spinning it around and thinking from the enemy side. I seem to remember being so interested by it back then. I used it to guide all my thinking. By the way, Kirei-san was Dad's co-worker back then. I never dreamed that she'd someday be added to our family. Are we getting a flashback now? Didn't Kirei tell me something once? I get the feeling she once said that while this chessboard thinking was one way to look at things, it certainly wasn't all powerful. And it wouldn't be good to rely on it too much.
チェス盤思考ってのはね、昔本で読んだゲーム理論というものを私なりに解釈したものよ。とても面白い学問だから、バトラ君も大学に入ったら挑戦してみるといいわよ。
ぜひやってみたいっす。それを勉強してチェス盤思考をもっと鍛えたら、どんな相手の手の内も読めるみたいで楽しいじゃないっすか。
でもね、盲信しちゃダメよ。ゲーム理論は非常に奥深く複雑な学問なの。チェス盤思考はその上辺だけを私なりに解釈した考え方に過ぎない。バトラ君が想像するほどに相手の手の内を読み切るには相当の勉強が必要よ。しかもチェス盤理論は応用の利く便利なものではあっても完璧ではない。便利ではあっても弱点が多い。
弱点？
ええ。チェス盤思考の基礎はゲーム理論。ゲーム理論は突き詰めると数学に行き着くの。数学の弱点は何か知ってる？ノイズよ。
In math, when you write 1 plus 1 equals 2, that process will always result in 1 plus 1 equals 2, no matter how many billions of years pass, nothing more and nothing less. That's because there's absolutely no noise mixed in. But for example, unlike math, the Japanese language has noise mixed in. So kanji are a good example. Old kanji and new kanji are slightly different, which represents an introduction of noise created by the changes between time periods. Isn't history the same? There are dozens of policies that seem foolish in the modern era, but were meaningful at some point in the past. Because of the rules of chess are fixed when a pair of experts are discussing one particular layout, if it's possible that they could reach the same conclusion whether they're from 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future. However, if the rules had gone through massive changes over time, it's possible that a discussion about the same layout would have changed as well.
その通り。人の世の事象は本来ノイズだらけなのよ。人の感情だってそうでしょ？全く同じことが起こったからといって人は必ず決められた反応を示すとは限らない。それを数学の理論で当てはめ相手の行動を読もうとする時点ですでに理論には弱点と限界があることを知らなければならない。手っ取り早く言うとチェス盤思考はノイズや気まぐれそして誤解認識ミスに非常に弱いの。
That's right. Kirei-san definitely said that. Chess has always been a game where both sides play by the same rules and fight with the same conditions for victory. That's why it's possible for both sides to predict the other's moves. It's possible to read your opponent because you can always suppose they'll make the best moves they can find. But what if your opponent is fickle or a bit tired and makes a move that can hardly be called the best? Or what if this game actually has a special rule? Some unknown thing that only the enemy knows about and can use. In fact, what if the opponent actually has some goal other than victory? Think from your enemy's perspective. That's the basis of chessboard thinking. Which means if you misread your enemy, the answer you draw from this process will be complete rubbish, useless. So far, I've used the chessboard theory to get several vague bits of information about the culprit hiding behind this case, or so I think. However, I don't know anything about the culprit. Am I just playing around in a labyrinth of thought? If Kirei-san were here at a time like this, she'd probably be able to notice something with her much sharper thinking ability. But hopefully in the next episodes that we'll have, I wish that there are a lot of characters, that we didn't really see, I suppose, right? Not see as in, like for example, Kraus. Yeah, we saw him, but I want to see more of him. For example, Rudolph, Akira, Rosa, Shannon, right? I want to see more of them, is what I'm saying. Like we're seeing now with Natsuhi, right? And all of them, all of the kids here, we've seen a lot of them already. But yeah, I want to see the others next time. Especially Rosa, right? Like she's always, when we saw her back then, she's angry at Maria. Like it's not normal that you do that, normally. Probably a lot of things has been happening with her. I want to see more of that, yeah. Until the very last moment, Jessica resisted moving into grandfather's study. But in the end, Aunt Natsu persisted and then we decided to move there. Everyone was completely wrapped in a paranoia by now. Kumasawa-san prepared dinner at one point, but during the time we were discovering the death of George Oniki's parents, both the kitchen and the parlor had been left empty. Someone suggested that the food might have been poisoned while we were gone. That is true. Because of that, we were unable to even touch the food that Kumasawa had taken the trouble to make for us. The manner in which the first 6 were killed was still unknown, but it certainly could have been poisoned. Certainly that would allow even a single person to carry out a murder of 6 large adults. Furthermore, this idea made it easy to imagine there being only a single culprit who had been afraid of Aunt Natsu's rifle. And this was very good for our emotional stability. But the fatigue and hunger were even harsher than we'd imagined. Then Kumasawa-san made a proposal and we all went together to the kitchen. And then there we gathered some canned food and other things that'd be hard to poison to take in with us. All of Kumasawa-san's effort to reward us with just a little dinner on this savage day regrettably came to nothing. The food that piled up on the serving cart looked just a little sad. Dude, you're gonna eat canned food? Like, for what, a couple hours? I mean, it's just canned food. What do you mean? What do you mean sad? I mean, yeah, what is say sad? Just eat so you can have energy. We all started climbing the stairs. Aunt Natsuhi, who was in the lead, warily stared into the darkness with both eyes in the barrel of the gun. Once we dragged ourselves up in the third floor, just as Aunt Natsuhi had warned us beforehand, there was a mixture of a chemical smell and a sickly sweet aroma. A stench hanging in the air that felt like it was eating into our heads.
なるほど。こりゃ一晩もこもったら頭痛にでもなりそうな匂いだな。今更ながらじい様の書斎に反対したジェシカに賛成だぜ。
But now we're right here, now you're saying we don't go inside? It felt like a stench was floating out from this magnificent door. It was a door to the forbidden study which should defend against any who would enter. While Genji-san unlocked the door, Maria stared at the door and the doorknob with great interest.
すごいドア。
古くいかめしくて冗談の通じなさそうな、いかにもじい様の書斎にふさわしい扉だよな。
霊的な悪意を退ける力がとても強く込められている。
Okay, she's serious again. Look at her voice.
多分ベアトリーチェはこの扉を開けられないね。
お？それどういうことだよ。
Maria pointed at the doorknob. Oh, the scorpion. Isn't the charm the scorpion as well, if I'm correct? No, it sounded like a magic circle around the scorpion was inscribed there. Yeah, isn't the charm with a scorpion? I don't remember, but yeah, I think it is, right? The design, that's right. Isn't it just like those keychain charms Maria gave Jessica and me yesterday?
火星の5の魔法陣は強力な魔除け。
She's smiling again.
しかもこの魔法陣は相当丹念に作られていて力がよく満ちている。魔の者であるベアトリーチェにとってこの魔法陣はとても厄介だろうね。
それは心強いじゃねえか。この部屋ならベアトリーチェの魔手から逃げられるってことだろ。うちの魔女様は実に頼もしいぜ。
ならベアトリーチェはどうやって中のおじい様を？
バトラが推理した通りだよ。ベアトリーチェは中に入れない。でも彼女には魔法があるし使い魔だっている。それらを使っておじい様が自分から書斎を出てくるように仕向けることはできるかも。
ああ、漫画で読んだな。吸血鬼は十字架が怖くて近づけねえけど、使い魔たちはへっちゃらなんで使い魔に襲わせるみたいなシーンを読んだことがあるぜ。
バトラたちに昨日あげたサソリのキーホルダーのようなお守りもこの火星の5の魔法陣だよ。込められている力は微々たるものだけど、この島を出るまでの間を守ってくれるだけなら十分だった。なくしちゃったそうだけどね。
And then Butler is gonna say, "No, I have it right here."
サソリのキーホルダーのお守り？
ああ、昨日私が母さんに渡したお守りはマリアにもらったものだったんだよ。ドアノブにかけると魔除けになるとか言われて、私より母さんの方がいいかなってあの時は思って。
そうでしたか。ジェシカにしては変わったものを持っていると思っていました。
夏日おばさんがあれをドアノブに？
ええ。夕べそう聞き、寝る前に扉の内側のドアノブにかけました。
なら夏日おばさんはとても幸運だよ。そうだったなら夕べベアトリーチェは夏日おばさんに指一本触れられなかっただろうね。 ベアトリーチェはさぞや悔しがったと思うよ。
Beatrice, annoyed, couldn't lay one finger. Natsu thought back on the eerie scribble she'd seen that morning, as though someone had been tearing at the outside of her door with blood-soaked hands, and gasped in surprise. Could it be that this witch who called herself Beatrice tried to enter through the door to Natsu's own room? But the magic repelling charm had been hanging from the inside, so she couldn't break the door. So she was annoyed. So she scratched it.
よせよ、そういう話。魔女なんかいないぜ。いるのは犯人。それも私たちと同じ人間だ。それを確かめる必要があるってなら、八つ先にして血が赤いかも確認してやろうじゃねえか。くそ。くそ。よくもカノン君を。
Genji unlocked the door. 8 people entered Kinzo's study. Okay, what happens now? Grandfather's study. I'd heard rumors about it beforehand, so I wasn't that shocked. He had done nothing more than fortify it thoroughly with his occult hobbies. If grandfather's hobby had been chasing after pop idols, these walls might be buried beneath idol posters. Even if I didn't understand it, I did realize that his room was a bundle of all his pastimes. Even so, I couldn't help but remain dumbfounded by the smell of this creepy medicine and the sweet stench that seemed to melt my head. When the door was closed, it automatically made a clunk. I see, this is the auto lock that activated whenever the door is closed. And there were only 2 keys that could open this door from the outside, both of which were in this room. In other words, it had become a closed room. The shutter, the receipt, the chain, and now the auto lock. The 4th door had the most magnificent lock yet, and this was doubtlessly a closed room. Just to make sure, or make absolutely sure that the room was secure, we checked all over for ways in or out. The window was tightly locked. That should have been enough, but just in case, we tried knocking all over the walls. After all, we had talked about there being a hidden door in this room, but we couldn't find anything suspicious. Grandfather's study was very large. Even though we called it a study, it wasn't really a single room. It could be divided up into 4 basic sections: a study section, a bathroom section, a toilet bathroom section, and a section for cooking that had a sink. I see, this study really does have enough in it to live in, so he doesn't really need to go out anymore that much. Because basically he has a lot of stuff here already, right? Yeah, kitchen, bathroom. So if he is, what do you call this? Indulging, or he's studying, he's doing his occult stuff, right? And he could stay here for days because all that he needs is already in the room. Now, I see how grandfather could live his whole life in this room without ever leaving. It seemed grandfather wasn't in the habit of watching TV because there was no television or even a radio in this room. We can't do anything except pass the time while listening to the sound of rain until tomorrow morning. Dr. Nanjo looked closely at the chessboard that sat on the table in front of his sofa and muttered. It was apparently the partly finished chess match he'd been playing with grandfather until yesterday. the black and white are pretty well cornered, or had the white pretty well cornered, and it looked like checkmate would be reached within a few moves, the last part of the endgame. Even though the checkmate had almost been reached, the endgame had been rushed and in the end was never completed.
金蔵さん、やはりこの勝負は決着がつきませんでしたな。
南條先生、
わしは長く金蔵さんの友人だったが、金蔵さんのことを知っているのは半分だけでしかなかった。金蔵さんにはいつも聡明な金蔵さんと何かの狂気にとらわれた金蔵さんの2人が同居していたように思う。わしは金蔵さんのことを何も理解してはおらんかった。
特にベアトリーチェ様のことになると人が変わったようでしたっけね。
In the direction of Kumasawa-san's upward gaze, a portrait of Beatrice could be seen. It wasn't massive like the one hanging in the entrance hall, but small and made for this room. Grandfather probably spent every day in this room and so much of his time talking to the witch in the portrait. Who was Beatrice's grandfather in the first place? Right now, you couldn't just explain it away by saying it was a story made by the parents to frighten children away from the wandering into the forest. While eating the canned food we'd brought from the kitchen, we talked together about who Beatrice was. Whether the culprit was Beatrice herself or someone pretending to be her. Whether they were a witch or a human, that was beside the point. The woman in this portrait was strongly related to the roots and backgrounds of this case. You couldn't talk about this case without talking about her.
そうだ。母さん、エヴァおばさんたちの部屋で犯人の手紙を拾ったんでしょ?
Oh yeah, the letter. Open it, man. I want to read that. I forgot about it.
まだ開けていませんでしたね。開けてみましょう。
Aunt Natsui took out that western envelope. Genji-san pulled the paper knife out of a drawer in the study desk and handed it into her. While watching her open it, George Oniki grimaced slightly. Yeah, because it is in the room of his parents. After all, it was a letter left at a site where his parents had been murdered. There was a good chance its contents would say something unbearable to Oniki. Aunt Natsui also seemed to realize that, so she glanced over the contents first without reading it aloud. We were a little frightened that she might grimace after reading something shocking, but she just frowned unhappily.
内容は何と?
不愉快な一文があります。
One unpleasant sentence.
私たちを挑発するつもりなのでしょう。
Natsui, after deciding that the contents could be shown to the children, set it openly on the table. Everyone stared at it at the same time.
我が名をたたえよ。
Praise my name.
なんだよこれ。うっせえぜ。
ベアトリーチェの勝ち名乗りみたいなものだろうね。
Oh, okay, so the praise did happen though. Yeah. The praise did happen, the third Twilight. Because it was in the letter, right? So, when we're seeing the things, it's not in order. Because, yeah, for example, when Canon, right? Canon, we saw first, but Kinzo already happened, right? We didn't see the thing that happened with Kinzo sooner. We saw it afterwards with Canon, but it happened before the one with Canon, right? So it is the fourth one. And for this one, those who remain shall praise my noble name. The letter, we saw the letter, I guess, but they didn't open it. But Eva and Hideyoshi were already dead when they found the letter. So it is in order. It's just that when we find it, it was not in order. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's continue.
くそ。
大方 また怪しげな魔法陣でも出てくるのを期待してたんだろう。
魔法陣ではなかったけどね。想像は裏切られなかったよ。
どういう意味でしょう。自分の存在を誇示したいのでしょうか。
そう考えるのが妥当でしょう。この手紙で初めて私たちは昨夜の手紙の主が犯人であると理解できる。ここに書かれている内容よりも昨夜と同じ封筒でというところに意味があるものと思います。
封筒も風浪も間違いなくお館様が使われていたものです。
おお、もう私には何が何だか分かりませんよ。こんなことは後宮のお家にお仕えして以来初めてのことです。
昨日の手紙の言う通りなら、ベアトリじい様も常々そう口にしてたんですよね。
I spoke to Genji-san and Kumasawa-san who nodded together.
ってことは、じい様の次に詳しいのは源氏さんと熊沢さんってことになる。話してくれないっすか。
私は長いことわざと耳にしなかった話です。ですがこの後に及んではそうも言っていられません。源氏、知っている限りを話しなさい。
Genji-san didn't answer. Did he remain silent despite his knowledge, or did he know nothing at all? Still, I had a good guess. The ghost story of the witch Beatrice had long been deified among the servants. He had probably been very close to grandfather and his occult hobbies, so there was a good chance I'd been indoctrinated with even weirder things and had increasingly come to defy or deify the witch. As grandfather's most trusted servant who had sworn loyalty to him, he might be the most influenced by the illusion of the witch that grandfather had created. So there was only one reason for Genji-san to remain silent. He could speak, but it would definitely cause a backlash, so it was better if he kept his mouth shut and it wasn't like we'd believe him anyways. Something along those lines. A short while ago, Maria had been more than willing to speak bluntly and unrestrainedly, and that had earned her a scuffle with Jessica. It was unnatural for Genji to keep his silence.
お父様の愛人ですか。
Concubine, so basically like a mistress, something like that, right? His concubine, that could be possible. For ordinary poor people, polygamy isn't only viewed negatively from a moral perspective, it's also an unmaintainable financial situation. Yes, but if you're rich, like this doesn't matter, right? Because yeah, you can support both of your families. But that isn't the case for the very rich. It's possible for them to have another lover in addition to their real life. I mean, not another lover. Some people, they have their family, right? And then they have another family that no one knows of. Like, Jesus, man. How could you even do that, right? You're hiding like another side to your say first family, for example, right? We can't deny the possibility that a grandfather had another woman in his life besides a grandmother.
かもな。ばあ様は生きてた頃、よく疑ってたらしいぜ。浮気相手がいるってな。私はてっきりそれは、じい様の想像の中の魔女のことを指してるんだとばかり思ってたんだが。
I mean, if your husband is obsessed with someone, like in a portrait, yeah, you could imagine as well, right? Like, oh, maybe my husband was cheating or something.
それなんとも面白い話になってきたぜ。源氏さんは俺に言ったよな。ベアトリーチェはこの屋敷ができる以前からじい様に仕えてたって。
お屋敷が竣工したのは 昭和27年と聞いています。
Showa 27, 1952.
ってことはベアトリーチェという人は30年以上も昔からおじい様と連れ添っていたということになるね。
その30年前の愛人、もしくはその縁者や隠し子が何かの恨みがあって何らかの復讐を企んだ。
A hidden child. What did I say? I think I said something, right? Like maybe a hidden child. I said someone earlier. No, in the earlier episodes. Like, I think Shannon, I think Shannon was a illegitimate child, if I'm correct. But yeah, Shannon is dead though, so. It's not
なる
possible.
ほど。洋館ミステリーっぽいありがちなストーリーになってきたじゃねえか。
汚らわしい話ですが、一番納得できる筋書きです。どうですか、源氏。
Look at this dude. He's silent now.
おそらく親方様に恋愛の感情は終わりになられたでしょう。亡くなられた奥様より愛しておられたに違いありません。
ベアトリーチェってのは何者なんだよ。そして今はどうしてるんだ。
お屋敷ができるより前にお亡くなりになったと聞いています。
I have heard that she passed away before the mansion was completed.
すでに死んでいる？
はい。親方様は大層深く悲しまれ、ベアトリーチェ様を蘇らせる方法として黒魔術に傾倒なさっていったのです。
So before the mansion has been completed, they said 1952, right? So 19 was the year 1986. It's been 30 plus years since then, for example, right? You can just estimate it.
親方様はベアトリーチェ様を心の底から愛しておられたのです。
But how old is is it listed here? For example, like Kraus. How old is Kraus? There's no ages here. But yeah, it's definitely older than he's probably like 50, right? Kraus is probably like 50 or late 40s, something like that, right? Yeah.
このような狂気に駆り立てるほどに。
As Genji-san said this, he spread his arms as though asking us to look at this room filled with the signs of grandfather's madness. World end. We were at a loss for words. Normally, black magic seems like it'd just be creepy, and it's really hard to imagine why someone would be so enraptured by it. Since Kinzo was just an eccentric who had restored the Oshinomiya family amidst his madness, nobody had tried to understand him. The only thing on grandfather's mind had been the loss of a beloved woman and his inescapable sorrow. Inescapable sorrow. Earlier, this room had seemed creepy, but in an instant, it had changed into something we could understand completely. The creepy books, the magic circles, the medicine, all of it. It all existed simply because we wanted to revive the face of a single woman who had left this world over 30 years ago.
一度だけ深く酔われた親方様にベアトリーチェ様のお話を聞かされたことがあります。詳しいことは忘れてしまいましたが、それはもう女の私が聞いて羨むような深い深い愛情でございました。
金蔵さんは後宮家の当主を継いだ時、当時まだ生き残っていた 後宮家の長老たちの意向で亡くなった奥さんとの結婚を決められたのです。
つまり後宮家にとって得になる女性との結婚を強制された。
さようです。金蔵さんはお家復興のためだけに当主に据えられ、全ての重責を背負わされたのです。そんな金蔵さんがどこでどういう経緯でベアトリーチェと知り合ったのかは分かりかねます。
それ以上語るのは無粋だな。
Okay, let's take a break here. We'll learn more of Kinzo's love story, I guess, in the next one, right? But yeah, if Beatrice might have existed 30 years ago, right? Honestly, like you look at Ava looks like Beatrice, right? Yeah, she kind of looks like her, especially the hair. How old is Ava, by the way? I don't know, but yeah, they were talking about illegitimate child as well, right? Something like that. But yeah, I was thinking about Shannon that back then. Probably not, because she's dead now, right? And yeah, it can't be, because 30 years ago, Shannon is what, like 20 years old? So it can't be, right? It cannot be. But let's see. Can what do you call this? Evil, or not evil, but yeah, they have the scorpion on the door, right? So basically they're protected now. This is the best place that they can be. What is gonna happen? We still have a lot of Twilights left that might happen, right? This one, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, right before the witch shall revive. So some people might still die. Oh, what is this? We got a new one? Praise my name. Oh, it's only praise my name. Okay. Grimoire, Inari, and Kusune. Okay. Also, you can actually do that. I didn't know you can go from the Grimoire to the tips like this. Okay. But yeah, we'll see what happens next episode. I feel like something is gonna happen here, and then we are not gonna stay in this room, I feel like. Yeah. And then once they go out, or the killings will start again for sure. I think in quick succession this time. Maybe, right? Stomach, knee, and leg. Probably, right? It feels like, because yeah, they're saying now, I guess, Kinzo's story a little bit. Genji's talking about it. Alright, so let's learn more about that next episode. So yeah, we're gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.